When most people think about checking in their attendees for an event, this is what they think about: a ballroom foyer. After all, it's probably 90% of why a ballroom foyer exists, so that you can check people in, maybe have a cocktail hour, and then go into the main venue space. But it doesn't have to be that way, does it? What if you wanted to check in here, in the lobby, while your guests are waiting to check into their hotel rooms? Or what if you wanted to check in here, at the hotel lobby bar, the night before, so that people don't have to rush down in the morning and stand in line just to get into the venue? Or what if you want to skip all that and go directly to the pool, check in people there? Mai Tais, anyone? Or what if you want to check in your attendees here?
Or here.
Or what if you wanted to check in here?
Or here.
Or for some reason, here. I mean, maybe you just really like IKEA. We're not judging.
I'd like to be able to check in here. Or here.
Or what if you wanted to check in here?
Houston, we'd like to check in here, please.
Negative ISS. Wi-Fi bandwidth is for essential use only.
Okay, so maybe we're not quite there yet, but for everything else, we're ready. It's time to escape the lobby. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this EventMobi Masterclass Badge on Escape the Lobby. I'm Brandt Krueger, Director of Industry Relations and Partnerships at EventMobi. Still working on getting that title out of my mouth, and I'm excited to be your host for today. All right. So before we go anywhere, I want to start with a question. You just saw a few of the possibilities of where you might want to check in attendees when you're no longer bound by power plugs and Cat5 internet cable. Though personally, I'm not a big fan of Vlad's snowy check-in wherever that was. So I would like to invite everyone to drop into the chat. First of all, whether or not you're excited about the World Cup and who you're rooting for, if you are. And then I think we might have intentionally scheduled this because we knew most of you would be out sick today to watch maybe a couple of matches or so. Also, then just answer the question that we already teased. So if you could check in anywhere, your attendees, where would you check them in at? If you could check in your attendees anywhere for an event with no restrictions, where would that be? So get weird out there, top of the pyramids, International Space Station with those folks, anywhere in the world, anywhere in the universe, where would you check your folks in at? In the meantime, today we're going to do something I think most online events don't. We're going to question the reality of something that you've probably never thought to question, and that is the registration desk. That thing in the lobby, the one with all the laptops and the badge piles and the volunteers who got their training 15 minutes ago. That thing that every event has that nobody really decided to have. It just kind of showed up at some point, and we've been building around it ever since. By the end of today, I want you to walk away with a different way of thinking about your arrival experience. Not necessarily because you're going to just throw out your reg desk tomorrow, but if that's something you wind up doing, I would really love to hear about it. But because of the way that we welcome our attendees, it's one of the most overlooked design choices in events. And I think that it's worth taking a fresh look. So let's take a look at the chat. Where are folks, let's see, what are folks looking at here? So they're home, they're at the airport, they want to check people in at the pool, rooting for USA, but also England. We got Brazil, we got Mexico, rooting for Brazil, Portugal, fantastic. And then folks are checking in all over the place, hotel lobbies, airport shuttles, transportation to the venue, at the gym. Nice. Going to check in the Uber, apparently. Okay, all right, I'm digging it. All right, reg desk is my arch nemesis from Nicholas. All right, rock and roll. So I love those. I want you to hold on to those, right? Really keep them in mind as we're going through today. So Here's how today is going to go. We're going to start with, unfortunately, the pain, right? So this is the stuff that you already know about, but maybe you haven't named out loud. Then we're going to hear from Arlene Schilke at Go West Live about how she rethought arrivals at her last event and how they might continue to change things based on what we're talking about today. After that, I'll walk you through what we've been working on here at EventMobi to make a different kind of arrival experience possible. We'll hear from our partners at One World Rental, who work with us to develop and distribute our new fully wireless badge on floor stands. And just real quick, I was really fortunate enough to be at IMEX Frankfurt a couple of weeks ago when these floor stands were first shown to the public. And I have to be completely honest with you, it blew people's minds. I literally had people wanting to buy the floor samples that we had on the show floor and take them home. We're like, oh, it'll take a couple of weeks. And she's like, what about these? Can I take these? Like, can I fit them in my luggage? Which absolutely is possible. So be sure to stick around for the official product walkthrough with EventMobi CEO Bob Vaez. And we'll be sure to answer as many of your questions as we can. So feel free to drop them in the chat at any time, and we'll do our best to keep an eye on that. So one quick housekeeping note. Yes, the session is being recorded. I know that's very divisive right now. Oh, do we do no recording? Do we do post-recording? You'll all get the link. You'll all get a chance to review it later. So absolutely. So let's get into it. We wanted to start by quickly reviewing some of the challenges surrounding the check-in experience and badge printing. So we actually went around and asked some industry expert friends of ours from around the world what they would change around the check-in experience for their attendees.
So first of all, I would never pre-print a badge in my life again if I didn't need to. So for so many different reasons, it obviously on-demand printing allows for changes up until the very last minute, which happens. Before you goes don't go out until the week before, sometimes after badges have been printed, then you get changes and questions and updates. So I think more of an on-demand streamlined system is what I think everyone should use. It's such a better experience for the attendees. It gets them through faster, they get their questions answered faster, and I think it's fun. Like the novelty of a on-demand badge print for an attendee is like, it's like a kid in a candy store.
Registration is always the first thing attendees experience. You really want that to be the greatest first impression ever, meaning like less lineup, more efficient checking in, being able to kind of troubleshoot as quickly as we can. If anything that we can change, obviously would be kind of, I wouldn't say a foolproof kind of system, but more of like a place where, people can come and have answers, a place of quick resolutions if anything comes up.
If I could change one thing about the check-in process, I think it would be being able to scan a QR code and everything was just done.
I would have less wires. A lot of times you want to have everybody come into the welcome reception and you want to greet them with drinks and activations rather than lines and stanchions.
Yeah, so when you set up registration and event, you're quite confined by whatever the venue has set up in terms of entrances or areas where you can set up a registration desk with power. So you're kind of stuck to whatever space is available to you, and sometimes that causes some bottlenecks, it causes long lineups, it sort of forces a very transactional experience for your attendees based on the constraints of your venue. So,
oh my gosh, everything about that check-in experience. First of all, I hate lines. Everyone knows I don't like to stand in line. I need to have a VIP experience everywhere I go. I just want people to it just walks up, it scans me, I say hi, and poof, I got it. Now that's dream world.
So let me paint you a picture that I think most of you will recognize. I've been already seeing a fair amount of it in the chat. So it's 8:30 in the morning, the lobby of any mid-sized conference. The coffee station is across the room. People are eyeballing it like it's the only thing that's going to keep them upright all day. And there's a line, because there's always a line. Your reg desk has 4 laptops, 3 banquet tables, 2 volunteers who got their training 15 minutes ago, and every single attendee who walks up to that desk gets the same greeting from your team. Hi, what's your name? So let's sit with that for a second. We've already got their registration, right? We've got their email. We've got their dietary preferences. We've got their session selections. We've got their company name, which hopefully is spelled correctly across the 3 different platforms and the 3 different tools that we're using. We know exactly who they are. And the first thing we say to them, the first impression of your event is, "Hi, what's your name?" And then the volunteer turns their back usually to the attendee, to a row of pre-printed badges laid out on an 8-foot banquet table, which, if you're lucky, has a black linen on it. Sometimes there's alphabetical labels to kind of help you find them. Sometimes there aren't. Sometimes the badge simply isn't there at all because the attendee registered 3 days ago and didn't make the final print run. And now the line is moving even slower. So now your volunteer is looking up the registration in a separate app. You're maybe even handwriting a badge with a Sharpie just to get them out of the way and get on to the next person. This is the experience that most attendees have, and it's the experience that most planners are stuck with. Nobody designed it this way. It just became the default, and we built every event around it ever since without really asking why. So let's break down exactly what's happening at that desk. But before we do, I want to offer up another quick poll and ask you about your current check-in process. So thinking about your event design, what has been the most common check-in experience for your attendees? Are you dealing with badges that you pre-printed yourself? Are you dealing with badges pre-printed by a print shop? This, by the way, is going to be on the polls tab. So go look at the polls tab over there. You're going to see badges you pre-printed yourself, badges you pre-printed by a print shop, badges that you printed on site with rented printers or maybe even your own, or badges we don't need no stinking badges. All right. So while you're doing that on the poll tab, we're going to keep going over here and we'll check in on that in a little bit later. So let's talk about those challenges. And to help me, it's time to bring in our own EventMobi founder and CEO, Bob Vaez.
Hey, Brandt. How's it going?
It's going great so far.
That was a
fire.
great. Yeah, that was a great setup. And I think I'm looking at the chat, and it seems like everyone in the audience kind of resonates with what we're going to talk about. They're kind of setting up the scene for us. And this is exactly what we got us to build Badge On Solution. We looked at, what we used to offer to customers. There really wasn't a viable middle ground option between expensive, complex thermal printers that was really made for like really large trade shows with like massive, peak sort of flow. Or you had to pre-print all your badges. There really wasn't in the middle. And honestly, I think a lot of planners have gotten numb to a lot of the issues that you just got everybody to visualize because there is no other option. And we just all accept the status quo and just, this is how it is. So I got a little game. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes for a second. Not for too long because this is an online event. You got to watch it. You can turn it back on. But think about, put on your guessing hat and think about the first thing that comes to mind when you are going through picking up your badge at a conference, right? So, Brandt, you go.
Yeah, I mean, we hinted at it. The first thing is the line, right? So the lineup. As soon as you open that door to get to get in, there's a line of people just standing there waiting for you.
Okay, that was easy. But I think we need to talk about the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The biggest thing is that here you've done all this work, right? You've spent 6 months building up anticipation for your event, all the emails, all the messaging, all the hard work, all choosing everything down to the last possible detail. And then the first thing that your attendee experiences is a line in the foyer. And if you're lucky, 8 minutes later, they're getting their badge and all of that energy, all of that buildup is just gone. And your registration folks, like they're not welcoming anyone. They're processing people. They're head down, they're searching. So straight out of the gate, it's really just not a great experience for attendees.
Yeah, that is true. But I'm going to take a wild guess. And for those of you that were not thinking about the lineup, you were probably thinking about kind of a vision of a table full of badges. I'm close, right?
I mean, that's definitely the other thing. The next thing that pops into my head is like those 8-foot tables with the black linens and the badges on. I mean, one of the it's how you do it. Like, it's how you make it easy for your reg desk people to find the attendee badges. You lay them all out in alphabetical order, but a table full of pre-printed badges, in addition to just not being all that attractive, is actually a security concern waiting to happen. Anybody walking by can read or even photograph exactly who's going to be in that room, and that's only going to get easier with the proliferation of smart glasses. You just be able to walk by and glance down and be able to get that entire attendee list. And the more people you have, the more table space that you're going to need. So you're soaking up even more prime real estate at your event, but you're doing nothing to contribute positively to the experience. And then, even if you don't lay them all out, right? Because you're being security conscious, or you don't have enough room to do all that. Maybe you put them in little tubs with the alphabet flags, and like now all of a sudden it's the 1990s, and you're flipping through a CD bin at your local music store. Flip. Okay, there it is. Found it. So I mean, maybe it's just my memory of those kinds of things, but I'm sure nobody else remembers those things. It's just me. And but you still and then after all of that, you still have to like check off that name. So you have to go to like a master list and check it off somewhere, cross them out, that kind of thing. And that takes all of that time just to get somebody to get through the queue.
Yeah. But one thing that makes on-site badge printing a lot easier is just kind of getting rid of that, crossing the line and automating that, knowing who is actually picked up the badge, who's checked in, which, a lot of events have to wait till lunch to figure out which badges are left over. And I'm like, oh, these are the people that didn't show up, or maybe the next day. But there's these, unique identifiers that kind of get printed on these badges in real time that are really handy and are used for a lot of different things. I think I gave it away. It starts with a Q, ends with the R.
Starts with a Q, ends with an R. I'm just not. Oh, okay, yeah. QR code. So it's like, yeah, a badge without a working QR code is just a name tag. There's no session tracking. There's no lead retrieval for your sponsors or your exhibitors. There's no networking tools. There's no post-event data generated about who attended what session. The only other way to do it would be to use some kind of RFID tracking badge or a Wi-Fi tracking on people's phones. Like, that's legit. Those are real, services that people offer, but it does involve a lot of extra infrastructure. Now you've got to have like the RFID scanners like hidden somewhere in an entrance or something along those lines. Like QR code though, like, it's simple, it's fast. Everybody knows how to use it at this point in time. It really does enable all of those features. Otherwise, it kind of feels like you're paying for the badge and you're paying for your event management software, but you're not really getting the value out of both of them.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of those solutions you talked about, a lot of the innovations in the online on-site attendee management is really built for really large trade shows. But talking about value, we were talking about this before. It seems like the most common misconception we hear from the events community is that pre-printing is the cheapest option when budgets are tight. But I think that's probably because a lot of event planners don't value their time or their team's time as a line item, as the same thing as a line item on their event budget, and it's not part of the cost.
It's one of those things that also used to infuriate me back in the AV and production days. Like, people would just look at the bottom line number on the invoice, but they wouldn't take into account all of this other stuff. So pre-printing looks cheap when you're just looking at the invoice, but it doesn't take into account all kinds of invisible costs. There's the list management itself, right? There's the shipping of the badges from the printer to where you're going. There's reprints for misspellings. There's batch 1, there's batch 2. They got to be uploaded. They got to be sorted. There's title, somebody's title changes, and now you got to go back and get them into the next print round. And then you're probably still going to need a separate on-demand printer for anybody that just happens to walk in. So now you're still bringing stuff on site. And then there's the 200 badges that you just throw in the trash from the people that didn't show up. So that's a waste. So, we're always talking about sustainability in our industry, and now you're just throwing away all the badges of the people that didn't show up. So none of that shows up in that per badge quote. And the budget case for pre-printing it really only works if you ignore all of those hidden costs.
Exactly. But I feel like everyone's fed up with our critical analysis of badge printing. We're not just a bunch of negative dudes. We're actually pretty fun people. I promise this is the last one. But we do need to talk about this one because I think we've all been to a lot of conferences that have. It seems like they did not have a budget problem, and they're definitely on the other side of the fence, overcomplicating. And probably overspending for their on-site check-in experience to a point that actually there is no human experience, and we're like robots. Zip, 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 you go in, and it's just like, what's happening. It's not really needed for a lot of events, and I think that's really what's amazing about events is that we have different types of event with different budgets and different flows and experiences. And we'll talk about why we think Badge On is a really good solution for this specific small, medium size, high touch events, from like 100 to 3,000. It works really, really well. And it kind of brings out kind of that ability to create a really unique arrival experience.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, we've been focusing on the pre-printing, right? Because there's a lot because a lot of folks go that direction. Again, they feel like it's less expensive, but obviously you can absolutely print on demand on site, right? Like that's a thing. It already existed. We didn't invent that, But what we were talking about there is exactly those big thermal jet printers that print directly onto a badge. Like you're throwing in a piece of plastic and out comes this perfect badge at the end of it. But the output it's really attractive, right? It's very professional looking, but they're also a pain to set up. They sound like a jet engine revving up when they're going and then they print the thing out, and it costs a fortune to rent. And you probably have to have an on-site technician. A lot of those like big dog thermojet printers need someone there to maintain it and keep it running the whole time. Yeah. Meanwhile, this middle ground exactly that you're talking about here, this middle ground between pre-printing and those bulky on-site printers really gets you like 90% of the same quality at a fraction of the cost, which is, of course, leading us to what we've been focusing on with Badge On. We've tried to find that middle ground between pre-printed badges, and we need to bring in a specialist that's going to provide people with flexibility, freedom, and convenience for the vast majority of their events. But before, I'm going to push it off just a little bit more, Bob. I know you're dying to show everybody, but before we do that, I want to make one more point. And that is, I want to introduce you to Arlene Schilke. So, when we listen to this next piece, when we watch this next video, I want you to keep all of those challenges that we just went through in mind. The line, the invisible costs, the tables full of badges, the lack of tracking that QR codes are going to let you have, all of those things. Keep that in mind while we introduce you to Arlene. She's going to tell us about Go West Live and all of the things that they've been doing once they start to break away from the norm, start to break away from accepting the long lines as a necessity of an event and start designing the arrival experience, like actually designing it so that you can get it the way that she actually wanted. Let's find out more about Arlene and the Go West experience.
Well, my name is Arlene Schilke, and I'm one of the producers of Go West Live, which is an event for the events industry that we host here in Western Canada. Everything was out east in Ottawa or Toronto. It took a lot for planners to go from the West Coast to the East Coast. So we decided to start an industry event out here called Go West for meeting and event planners. We try to pack a lot into this program. We have a hosted buyer program, we have speed networking, we have a main stage, we have breakout sessions, and we also have a trade show. In addition to that, we also have all these mini receptions, niche events inside of the Go West program itself. So there's a lot going on. We started using EventMobi almost 10 years ago, and our very first event with EventMobi was our first year that we did Go West, and we used their app, which was really all we needed at that time, and that was sort of what was trending at that time and day. Over the years, as EventMobi added to their product line, we were really happy to just jump right on and showcase and use whatever they had come up with that year. So it's been a really exciting journey with them. And in the last couple of years, we were able to use their online registration system and also their on-site badge printing. We'd never have done on-site badge printing before, and to me, it just seemed like such a big thing to take on. I thought it went really quickly, and I really could not imagine that on-site badge printing was actually going to be faster than our system. I was trying to think, could we offer coffee because the lineup's going to be huge? Like, what could I do because I'm going to have this huge lineup? I went around the corner no lineup. No lineup. It was just easy breezy. It was crazy. I've just never been so relieved and happy in my life. But the other thing that actually happened is it saved our staff a ton of hours before the event happened. Usually we have this onerous task of like going through the name badge file, and we've got to proof it and double check it and get it to the printer, sometimes 2 weeks before. We've got people still registering 2 weeks before. And so on-site badge printing 100% eliminated any of that hassle, any of that work. Because we have so much happening at Go West, like I have this hosted buyer program that sort of starts the day before, and then we have this special reception that's for planners only. And then in between all that, we actually created a speed networking event. So we actually needed EventMobi to go to our different locations and be there to register that group of people. So to be able to have a tool that is mobile and able to go to the different venues to register the different niche groups of people, that was mind-blowing. That was great. I didn't really doubt them and that they could do it, but I just had that inner like, is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? And it absolutely worked.
I love how you can hear in Arlene's voice, like basically the moment she stopped just accepting the reg disc and started treating it as a problem that was worth solving. So let's take that seriously. If you want to separate checking in from the reg desk, if you need to stop assuming those two things live together, this is the kind of stuff that becomes possible. This is the design space that we've been working in. We wanted to give you the ability to put check-in anywhere without specialist staff, without an enterprise budget, without a setup process. I'm seeing a lot of those comments in the chat talking about exactly that, how much it costs, how much work it actually is. People are getting it. They understand. So before we show you what the future looks like, Francisco, let's just take a quick look, though, at what we were asking about earlier, about what people are currently doing now. So looking at it today, I got to make it big for these old eyes here. All right. So we got 38%. I get my badges pre-printed by a print shop. We got 31%. I pre-print my own badges. And 28% I print on site. Yep. So it's almost exactly like a third, and a third.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. Bob, what do you think about these results? Does that seem pretty typical?
It's actually much better than we asked a similar question a few years ago. It's much better than that. So I think our audience, I'm hoping the people that said they're printing on site, they're using EventMobi. They're here to see what's new with EventMobi. And if you're not, definitely, I think it's an interesting one. But that's exactly why we built Badge On. I mean, there's a lot of planners are still stuck because there was no other option. It was either too expensive, too complicated, and instead of me talking about it on the screen, you guys forced me to do this video. Introduce our new product, the Badge On floor stand. Really excited for this product. It comes with a rechargeable battery in the label printer, a 5G SIM card inside the iPad, and this little beauty weighs less than 12 pounds, so you can move this anywhere. There is no cord. You don't need to look for an outlet, and you can even have this little signage for your sponsorship. Think about all the different ways you can welcome your attendees now instead of having a jam lineup right by the door. Golf course, rooftop patio, multiple venues at your next event. Now possible with the new Badge On stand. Oh God, I am terrible. I hate watching myself on video.
So, but there it is, right? Like that's it. That's the new Badge On wireless stand. It's so easy. We literally sent you to go do the product shoot. It's lightweight, it's easy to use, and most importantly, it is completely wireless. Bob, let's get into the details.
Even a CEO can do it, right? I know
Right?
you
It's
wanted
so
to
easy
say
the
that.
CEO can do it. So what kind of prep work though are we talking about? Like we've seen the stand. So like, but what does that mean like leading up to the event? How does that change things there?
I mean, it's no joke. There's nothing in event planning is easy. Like that's the reality of the job. Anything that looks easy, there's lots of planning done ahead of time. And badge on is the same. So I think we got a couple of graphics as I kind of walk you through things to prepare for what needs to be done. We talked about, we were joking about the file names and the batch file and the badge file and so on. But you got to get the names, right? These badges don't print themselves. It needs to come from somewhere. If you're using EventMobi, it's always real time and it's up to date. If you're not using EventMobi, it also integrates with all kinds of registration platforms, marketing automation tools, and CRM. So we can basically build a quick integration using our new integration and automation hub. If you didn't know it was launched a few months ago. It's actually pretty cool. It does a lot of other stuff too. But you got to get that info into the EventMobi system, and then the badge on app that sits on that iPad is always synced with the latest information. So that's kind of the data conversation. And the other thing that's important that actually impacts timeline are a few things to keep in mind. Actually, three things. It's the badge stock design, because these labels have to go on something. It's the lanyard if you're putting sponsors logo on it. And it's the label design itself that you can really customize based on all your registration information that you have collected. So these are the three things that you have to think about the design. You probably got to get it approved internally, and we have to send it to printer. And it does take time, and that impacts timeline as well. There's a couple of other decisions on the badge itself. Is the size, the shape. Believe it or not, some people don't use rectangle or square. I've seen some really cute badges, hexagons and circles. Depending on the event and your print house, you can actually get those printed. And that's the other benefit of these labels, is that it can kind of go on any type of badge. So the size, the shape, and then last, material. So another benefit of label is that if you want to use metal badge, which I've seen some people use and it works for some events, you can use, but generally the most common ones are PVC or firm laminated. That's a little bit more environmental friendly. Or you can even use recyclable cardboard type badges, and again, put these labels on. It can be your typical sort of white labels, or it can be transparent, sort of see-through labels as you saw in the video. And then you also need to know where the label goes, right? So these are the things that you have to kind of think about and design and discuss. We talked about the lanyard. Obviously, that does change. There's lots of lanyard choices available. EventMobi can also help you, by the way, with the design, the coordination with the print house, and the shipping of the badges and the lanyards and so on. So we can take care of that. Or if you have your preferred print house of choice, you can also do that. That's not a problem, but you do have to think about those. Now, last, but the most exciting, I think it's the label design, because this is where that information comes alive. These badges are more than a name tag. They can actually be a really powerful tool for networking, identification, security, access control, lead capture. And as people kind of look at it, I kind of like to think about the front as the networking piece. This is what we look at humans. I like to put the barcode on the back, but every event is different. But so much information can go on that label, from, talk to me about this. I'm an expert in this. Networking question can be there. If you have a speaker, you can put their sessions and the time. So when they're talking to someone, it's like, don't miss my session. It happened to me all the time. So a great option to kind of break the ice using your label. And you can kind of design those based on, you can do merge fields on the system. It can be based on roles. So speakers have different type of information than exhibitors. You have a design for the front, you have a design for the back. And I think we have this in one of the videos, but our system actually has what we call a multi-label printer. So when it prints the labels for your badges, you can also print a label for your swag. So imagine like you can basically print like little names to put on your water bottles that you're giving out or notebooks so it doesn't get mixed up. Really cool ways, or gifts in any ways. So lots of different use cases. And then you're kind of done, right? So all this stuff is done like a month in advance of your conference, and you don't have to worry about badges anymore as people are registering. You just show up on site and you basically unbox the badge on if you've rented it from us. And you have basically two choices. You have the desk stands that can be wired or wireless, or you have the floor stands that are basically designed to be wireless. So they have a rechargeable battery on the printer that lasts all day, and they have a 5G sort of SIM card in the iPad. Makes this whole thing really easy to operate. And we were kind of joking about, like, let's create an unboxing video that only takes 10 seconds, because you really take it out of the box. Everything is already pre-set up. Just turn on the iPad, you turn on the printer, and you're ready to go. And we're not joking about that. It's like it's like 30 seconds to kind of get going and start printing, which is huge for a lot of events that they need to get going really fast. So that's kind of the essence of this unboxing. But there is more. This Badge On app that we have, not only it does your check-in and the printing, it's also the tool that event planners can use for their session check-in. They can use it for access control, for private or paid sessions. It does capacity management, and that volunteer that you have by the door, instead of just scanning, they actually have real insight into who is reserved. Can I allow this walk-in if they haven't reserved? Is there enough seat in there? Are we hitting capacity? Or are we just like counting the number of in? Like, we've actually seen some of our customers use the handheld, sort of their iPhones, to check people into buses, because they want to know if the right people have made it and the number of people that are there. And these are possible because everybody has a badge with a QR code on it. And this is really what unlocks a lot of operational efficiency for a lot of events, beyond the fact that now we change the arrival experience.
Yeah, it's like, so a lot of the questions in the chat you kind of answered as we were going along, so that's great. If you feel like, however, we didn't get to one of your questions, please feel free to re-ask it. But Bob, there were a lot of questions about the badges and the labeling and how that all works in the session check-in. So maybe we should take a look at one more video here before we go into this stuff.
All right.
So
let's have a look.
There's more footage from Bob on site, so we have to continue to torture him with that. So let's take a look at the second video to answer a lot of your questions.
Okay, let's talk about badge types and the choice of badge label printer that we use for the Badge On product. We really love this badge label printer for a variety of different reasons. It's affordable, it's very light, it really doesn't require any maintenance, it doesn't jam, so you don't really need a technician on site to do anything. It can be powered, or it can be completely wireless. Basically, it talks to the iPad with Bluetooth, and it has a rechargeable battery here. That's optional that you can use. But what's really great, beside the fact that it's very versatile as a printer, these labels. These labels are great because they allow you to have a lot of flexibility. You can use a 4x3, you can use a 5x7. So whatever you have in your that you need for your event and your budget, you can kind of place those. It can be recyclable cardboard that you can kind of stick these labels on. So lots of different options in terms of choices. The other thing that's great is you can even use our multi-label printer option. Print the front, print the back, and actually print a personalized label for your swag items that you're giving out. So it doesn't, that people don't mix them up. For notebooks, water bottles, wine cartons, whatever it is that you're giving out to your attendees, you can actually put, as soon as they check in, after the badge labels are done, it prints out a little sort of smaller badge for you, and you can kind of use it to personalize other items. Really, really handy and really flexible. This is in comparison to, you might have seen these butterfly thermal print papers that are great for very large conferences that need super fast speed for like thousands and thousands of people that arrive during peak hours. The problem with these is that they bend They fold. They kind of end up ripping right by the alligator clip. I don't know if you can do a quick close up here. You can kind of see after just a couple of days of use, these alligator clips kind of rip the top of these thermal papers, and we don't really like that. So we really love these the Brother label printer. Allows us to offer a really, really amazing product that's affordable, easy to use, and changes the way event planners can design the arrival experience for their attendees. We're really excited to see how you redesign and rethink that experience for your attendees when they walk into your event and have that first impression. Looking forward to your feedback. Woohoo! Who's excited?
Yeah, lots of great comments. Lots of great comments in the chat. Bob, I want to ask a question that did come up in the chat before we continue on into pricing and logistics and things like that. So someone was saying that they noticed the type of printer that it is, right? It's a Brother printer. It's a very common label printer that we've used in here. Can you go in? Can you tell us kind of why we chose that printer? Why we chose this setup compared to some of the other printers that are out there? And can someone use a different type of printer with this system?
Good question. We might have covered it. We might cover it actually later on. But
yeah,
what we wanted to do with the badge on was bring the price down to make it more affordable, because we saw majority of the on-site badge printing solutions were too expensive for mid-size events. We wanted to make it, and a lot of that cost, by the way, is a technician. So having technicians on site just like jacks up the price significantly. As much as we love to be there at your event, you don't always have the budget. That budget needs to be spent on other things than just having people around fixing printers. So we wanted something that's inexpensive, easy to operate by the technician, and basically be light enough and ability to be able to take in a rechargeable battery so it can be portable. So all these stuff combined, that was the best choice. So there's lots of other printers out there, but this was kind of the best combination of cost, weight, ease of use, reliability, and the fact that it can be wireless. So to bring all this stuff together, this was kind of our choice. And by the way, you can buy these printers yourself and have it. We have some customers that run 10, 20 events a year, and they're kind of procuring these for their own events, but I know not every event can store and they don't have the logistical means of shipping them between events. So renting is sometimes easier. But that was a good point. There was another question about the Wi-Fi, and this kind of came up in my conversation with someone, with another customer recently, that some events can actually, where they want to do check-in, the Wi-Fi for the venue doesn't reach. And I think that's the other benefit for these wireless solution. Even though you're going to plug in the power to the printer, let's say, because you want to make sure like you have that station all day, all throughout the week for check-in. The iPad can actually have a 5G SIM card. So as long as there's cell tower signal, you don't really need to worry about Wi-Fi quality from the venue, which we know it's expensive and sometimes unreliable. But again, cell signal is also not always reliable. So you have to kind of think about the placement of these inside the venue.
All right. So yeah, the questions looks like, and teams jumping in and helping answer questions in there as well. So I think, let's keep things moving here, and let's jump right into talking about kind of the timeline, the logistics, the pricing, all of that kind of good stuff. We already kind of did the timeline. I mean, let's dive into the pricing of things.
Yeah, very quickly on the timeline. I think our staff can help, and I think they're answering some questions on the chat. Usually the team recommends 3 to 4 weeks, and that's the timeline we need to print the batch stock, make sure the equipment is ready, the shipment doesn't get stuck in customs and things like that. And by the way, we don't ship this stuff because we have lots and lots of events and we don't want to deal with equipment. And we teamed up with One World Rental as a global partner, and they have warehouses all around the world and thousands of these equipment. So there's we can kind of manage and scale these to any event with any size anywhere. In terms of buy or rent, we talked about this. You can buy it themselves. I think actually buying the iPad and the stand and the printer is like less than $1,000 if you want to have it for yourself to reuse. To rent it from us, I think 2 stations with a lot of the accessories that kind of come with it is around $1,200, or one of the wireless floor stands also is around the same price as $1,200. And again, this includes shipping for a 5-day event and the 5G in it. So it's like all-inclusive sort of pricing. From our research, that's almost a third of your typical thermal printer rental cost. So we think that's unlocks a lot of opportunity for a lot of events that could not afford this in the past.
Or if everyone is coming via plane, like you don't have anyone coming in, airport check-in would be so cool because people are standing at baggage claim waiting anyway, and you could just get people through and then they could just be at the hotel and be cool. For larger conventions, like ones that are at these like Gaylords, you think about the Vegas hotels that have multiple towers, that kind of thing, like per lobby check-in would be awesome. Like it doesn't even have to be at the check-in, but like at the elevators to go to the room, that kind of thing.
If registration is not linked with a wire, when it's wireless, or we can kind of call it either a floating or mobile registration check-in, where it can be anywhere, I think it's a great way for us as planners to kind of like re-strategize placements. You can use that as a draw and be like, hey, check in the night before at this location when you're having kind of like a welcome reception at an offsite event. So possibilities could be anything. And then for maybe in the morning, you can think about like, oh, what if we kind of have like a registration reception where, you know, we could kind of mix registration in with more of like, you know, a reception event during the morning, like a silent disco or something like that.
At the hotel before I get to the convention center.
I would actually the airport. So MPI did a airport check-in years ago at a WC, and it was fantastic. Literally, you got off the airplane and it was one of the first 2 lobby bars that you ran into, and everybody was there. It was a place to get everything you needed and immediately connect with your network. And for somebody who often arrives late to the morning session because I see too many friends in the hallway, this was an exceptional way to bring me right where I needed to be and get me ready to go.
If I would check them in, that's definitely a very exclusive night bar and a top building in New York, you know?
In my dream scenario, it would be awesome to be able to meet attendees as soon as they sort of arrive on premise, right? So the venue we're in right now for this event, there's a big long block out there where people have been sort of walking up and down and lost before they get into the venue. It would be awesome if we could have greeters, people checking in out there.
Yeah.
And then once they get into the venue, all they have to worry about is being part of the event experience.
I don't ever want to be restricted as to where I want to check in my attendees, because if we think about just the core aspect of what an event is, it can exist anywhere at any time. So I should be able to have that flexibility. The bathroom should also be one of them.
The end of that, because every time I see that video, Tess just absolutely cracks me up with the last one. I don't know why she wants to check in people in the bathroom, but you know what? She's thinking creatively about where lines are, and I love that about our event people. So Bob, I know you probably carried on a little bit without me there, so I just wanted to say, you know, it really is like this combination of the printer and the label and all that kind of stuff, it really does offer the most freedom of all of the possibilities that are out there. So yeah, you can do it on plastic, you can do it on cardboard, like that whole video that you showed, like shows all of those various types of things. But you know, we can do all that. And one of the things that I love though, is yeah, you can buy it. you can buy it, you can rent it. Like, we're a software company, right? We're not trying to make all of the money on the rental of this product. So like, however you want to do it, that's fine. But this is our compact wireless solution that we've put together, and we've put it together from a standpoint of trying to make the industry better, from making the check-in process better. And it really is about, finding the right partners to do that. And so I know that part of what people like about EventMobi is the people, right? So that, when we're doing research internally and we're talking to the customers, it's incredible how often they're mentioning the salespeople by name, the customer service reps by name. So when we wanted to put together this hardware package, and we wanted to find people that were, an amazing partner that had a great team of people on their own, right? So Bob you mentioned One World Rentals in passing earlier. So I just want to take a quick second to learn a little bit more about them and show you why we chose them to be our worldwide distribution partner. And so let's meet one of their customer service reps, Sophie Thompson.
When an event needs hardware anywhere in the world, One World Rentals shows up. Founded in London in 2010, the company has grown into a global event technology partner, operating in over 50 countries with offices across North America, Europe, Asia, and beyond. From a single iPad to a full Wi-Fi deployment, One World Rentals supplies, configures, and supports the technology that keeps events running, including on-site technicians who handle setup, troubleshooting, and everything in between. Whatever the event, whatever the scale, they've got it covered. Already a distribution partner with EventMobi for wired check-in and supplies, One World Rental was the natural team to reach out to when it came to designing the new badge-on floor stands.
I'm an account manager at One World Rental. I manage around 50 accounts, all with varying size, primarily in the UK and EU, but I do also have some clients in the US and Canada. Historically, I have worked with EventMobi as their account manager. Primarily, we send out kits to them. So a kit being a desktop stand, an iPad, and a printer. And they're all in bespoke boxes as well. So we EventMobi brand the boxes. We have serviced just over 200 events for EventMobi, mostly in the US and Canada, but now we're exploring the mainland Europe and UK markets, and that's really exciting. EventMobi's badge-on solution is really attractive to clients. The ability for a customer just to go up to the badge-on station, scan the QR code, and then print the label. Not having someone on site to assist with this will obviously be greatly beneficial in terms of savings as well. With the One World Rental, we are building specialized flight cases for the badge-on solution, which you can take out the box and set up within 30 seconds. One World Rental prepares all the equipment prior to dispatch, so that being connecting the printers and the iPads via Bluetooth, and also downloading the on-site application that they require.
And of course, we had to ask,
if I could check in somewhere or an event anywhere, it would probably be on a liveaboard. So that being a scuba diving excursion whereby you live on the boat in the Philippines. I really love coral reefs, and I'm obviously half Filipino. And yeah, I would love to learn how to scuba dive, so I think it would be the ideal place to have an event.
Yeah, we want to put this system together so that we had this beautiful, like, nice wireless opportunity. But like, yeah, you can do it any way that you want to do it. And so just get that demo and we'll show you all the different possibilities. Even if you want a sample kit of like the different types of badges and things like that, we can do that as well. So be sure and drop us a note if that's something you're interested in, if you want to just see the different types of badges. So if you want to just keep thinking about this, that's great too. All right. So watch the on-demand replay. A couple people asked. Yep. Absolutely. It'll be there for on demand. We want you to share this with your team. We want you to send us your thoughts. Folks, the registration desk, that's a design choice, right? It's a choice that we make. And so we don't have to just take that as the default option. We can change things. We can have more than one option. Folks, it's time to escape the lobby.